You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 sections. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Now, turn to Section 1. Section 1. You will hear a conversation between a representative whose name is Dawn and a prospective member of an automobile club. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6. You will see that there is an example that has been done for you. On this occasion, only the conversation relating to this will be played first.
Good morning. My name is Dawn Buffett. How can I help you?
Good morning, Dawn. I'd like to join the club.
Wonderful. Now, have you ever been a member before?
Yes, I joined after I left college, and I was a member for 7 years before I let my membership lapse when I went abroad.
Gavin was a member for 7 years, so 7 has to be written in the space. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6.
Good morning. My name is Dawn Buffett. How can I help you?
Good morning, Dawn. I'd like to join the club.
Wonderful. Now, have you ever been a member before?
Yes, I joined after I left college, and I was a member for 7 years before I let my membership lapse when I went abroad.
Do you have your old membership card?
No, sorry. I threw it out when I moved.
Have you got any other form of identification on you?
I've got my driver's license, and my passport, and a couple of bank cards.
The license will be perfect.
Here you are.
Thank you. Oh, the photo is not a very good likeness, is it?
No, I've shaved off the beard and cut my hair since that was taken.
I'm going to have to make a note of some of these details, and I'd like you to correct me if any of them have changed. Obviously, the number here will be the same. AY916310.
Look, you've copied it down wrongly. It's AY196310.
Thank you. I'm glad you picked that up. Now, family name? Black, and other names? Gavin Raymond?
Yes.
And you were born on the 22nd of January, 1973.
That's correct.
Can I just remind you that you'll need to renew your license by the 19th of May, 2012? You wouldn't believe the number of people who get caught out with an expired license.
Thank you. I must admit, although I carry it around in my wallet, I wasn't really aware of that.
Not many people are. I've been caught out myself. Now, I can see that you're one of those who has opted out of having an address printed on the card, and I can understand that. Personally, I think it's better security not to have it, in case your wallet gets stolen, for example.
I agree.
Can you give me your current address for our records?
Yes, of course. I live at 29 Sunset Street, Meadowbank.
Thanks. Actually, my uncle lives in the same street. It's a very nice area, isn't it?
Yes, pretty good.
Now, you've got 3 classes of license: motor car, motorbike, and heavy vehicle. Do you want to be covered for all 3?
Oh, not anymore. I had a motorbike when I was a student, and then, before I went abroad, I worked as a truck driver for a while. But I never want to do that again. These days, you'll only find me behind the wheel of a car.
Well, that's all done. Now for one final question.
What's that?
I need to ask you whether you've ever had any driving or other convictions or endorsements on your license.
Well, I've had a few parking tickets.
We don't count those.
And I haven't had any endorsements, but I do have a dangerous driving conviction from back in 1993. I was young and inexperienced, and going too fast in wet weather, and I slid off the road and hit a power pole.
Well, I have to make a note of that, but you're lucky. Because it's over 15 years ago, it won't be held against you.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
We've changed quite a lot here at the Royal Car Club since you were last a member.
Oh?
We now have 4 different levels of membership, starting at blue, then moving through bronze to gold.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, you get a different level of service and different benefits depending on what you choose. Of course, that is reflected in the annual fee. The more benefits, the higher the fee.
I see.
The standard club care comes with a 5% discount at bronze level and a 7.5% discount at silver level.
And gold?
If you own more than one car, I'd recommend the gold level because you only pay half the fee on your first vehicle.
I'm not sure I need that.
Well, bronze and silver have $10 and $20 off the insurance fee, but with the gold membership, say you had an accident and your car was badly damaged or off the road for any length of time, you'd be eligible for car hire at no extra cost.
That's good.
There's one more thing. If you need to borrow money to purchase a new car, we offer personal loans at a reduction off the general applicable rate. These start at 0.25%, go up to 0.5% at bronze level, and increase to 0.75% at the next level. Gold has a whopping 1.25% reduction on the applicable rate.
Well, that is something I should consider, perhaps. Thanks for your help. I'll think it over and let you know.
That is the end of Section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to Section 2. Section 2. You will hear a guide at the Summerland tourist attraction talking to a group of visitors. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
Welcome to Summerland. I'm your guide, Jackie, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we do and have here before I take you on a tour of the facilities. In our air-conditioned restaurant, we can cater for anyone from the individual diner to families and tour groups, but we also do functions such as weddings, conferences, birthday parties, and so on. We have a delicious modern menu on offer in the restaurant, or perhaps you'd prefer to sit outside in the courtyard overlooking the lush tropical gardens. And for those booking a function, we devise an interesting set menu according to the type of celebration and the client's budget. If formal dining isn't what you're after, we operate a takeaway food bar, which has a range of light snacks and refreshments, just the thing if you're supervising children in the playground. The playground and picnic area makes a great alternative to the beach. If you've remembered to bring your bathing suit and a towel, you can cool off in the water spray park. Parents can sit back, relax, and enjoy a coffee, while the kids have fun in our fully fenced, shady playground and picnic area. What a way to make the most of the warmth and sunshine we have here in abundance. The older children will love to visit the historic cottage with their parents. This was the original homestead on the property and is now preserved as a museum with an educational DVD and cinema room. You'll find the information center here also, and you'll be able to pick up some glossy brochures to take home with you and show your friends. Don't worry, we have more than enough leaflets for you to take home. Visit the gift shop and you'll find an enormous variety of local products, fine foods and handicrafts on sale. Some say that this is the best displayed and priced shop in the region. There is more to be admired and purchased in the garden nursery, which has an extensive range of flower pots, indoor and outdoor plants, statues, and all kinds of other garden accessories to adorn any home or garden. While we're on the topic of gifts and such, I must mention the woodcrafting shed and urge you to take a look at the amazing products that the woodcrafting team produces there. You'll be able to watch them at work and buy anything they've made. The toys they produce are not only original, but some of the finest craftwork you'll ever see. Take your little ones by the hand and keep an eye on them, because they'll want to play with these, but they can't be played with unless they're paid for. Last but not least are the orchards. The Summerland tourist attraction is actually a working farm with over 40 hectares of macadamia and avocado trees. The macadamia nuts are picked by machine from April through to September. The avocados are grown, hand-harvested, packed, and marketed on site.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
Now, are you all set for the tour? We'll leave the car park and walk in an easterly direction towards the administration building with the parking spaces outside. We won't go into the admin building because there's nothing much to see there. Instead, we'll walk in a northeasterly direction towards the museum. But before we get to it, we're going to turn right, walk past it, and go into that enormous building to watch how the avocados are graded and packed. Well, what did you think of that? Those packers have to work very fast, as you can see. Now, as we come out of this building, we'll go to our left and around the back towards the cool room. Of course, this is where all the fruit is stored after packing. There are a lot of boxes of fruit in there. Nothing very interesting to look at, but we will stop at the other building to see how they make the cardboard cartons. See how everything is mechanized, so there is very little labor involved? I'm intrigued by how those machines operate, just like clockwork. It does get very hot in there, though, doesn't it? Which makes the thought of a peek inside the cool room quite attractive. But no, we'll skip that and make towards the building in the far northeastern corner of the facility, where they take the husks off the macadamia nuts. It's quite noisy, but absolutely fascinating. Now we'll take a shortcut heading west through the orchard to the woodcrafter's workroom and shop, and I'll give you a few minutes to browse. Take note of where this is because I'm sure you'll want to come back here later this afternoon in your free time. Is everyone still with us? Right, let's go south now and take a leisurely walk through the picnic and playground area with the water feature. But we want to end up over at the garden shop at the northern end of the car park. We'll have to walk through the little gift shop first to gain access to the garden shop, and I'm sure you won't be able to resist getting some nice little presents for the folks at home. Are you ready for lunch now? I know it's been a whirlwind tour, but the restaurant has us booked in for 12:30, and after that, you're free to take your time wandering around until the bus leaves at 3 p.m.
That is the end of Section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to Section 3. Section 3. You will hear
two university students on a seminar they have just attended. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25.
Isn't it ironic that at a seminar on public speaking and presentation skills, we're left so underwhelmed by the oratory skills of the so-called expert up on stage?
Maybe we should lower our expectations a bit, Mike. After all, everyone is susceptible to nerves, especially with an audience as critical as us. Well, you anyway.
She's a professional. She's supposed to do this for a living, Alma. I feel totally let down, and I'm asking myself exactly what I'm supposed to have gained as a result of spending this time here.
Look, forget about her presentation skills, or lack thereof, for a minute. What about what she had to say? Did you listen to any of that?
How could I, when she kept fidgeting and moving about so? I was so distracted by her antics, I couldn't focus on anything else, to be honest with you.
I don't know if you can blame her totally for your not absorbing anything that's been said in the last half hour, Mike. You're a pretty awful listener at the best of times.
Oh, come on. She should be able to hold my attention for 30 minutes. It's not like the talk lasted 2 hours or something. Mind you, it sure did seem like it.
Stop it now. You're being overly critical, and that's just not fair. I took some notes and was actually impressed by some of what was said. I'm definitely going away having learned something and feeling like my time wasn't totally wasted.
Emphasis on the not totally bit.
Oh, Mike, when will you learn? You know, sometimes we only get out of things what we put in. Did it ever occur to you that had you given this woman a chance, you too might have actually learned something?
All right, Alma, go easy.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30.
Well, look, we have to fill in this feedback form on her performance now, and I want you to be kind, okay?
Yeah.
First question, use of equipment. It says, do you think the presenter made adequate use of the equipment at her disposal?
What's a 1?
1 is basically terrible.
1 it is, then.
Stop it, Mike! She used the projector screen, had a nice PowerPoint prepared in advance, and had some sound files to liven things up too.
Yeah, it was a real hoot.
Look, if you're not going to do this properly, I'll fill it in on my own.
OK, look, seriously, I guess I appreciated the prep work that went into the presentation. And she did make good use of the room's IT facilities, so it wasn't as bad as I first made out. But I'm not totally enamoured with her performance in that department either.
Me neither, actually. That's a fair assessment at last, Mike. She made an effort, but I would have preferred it if she had used the interactive whiteboard, perhaps, as well as the projector. Her presentation might then have felt, well, more interactive, I guess. A decent effort, though. Agreed?
Agreed.
What about preparation?
Well, I think we can both see that a lot of effort was put in that respect. Can't falter there, can you?
Not at all. How about clarity of speech and effectiveness at getting the message across?
Well, look, you thought she spoke very clearly and that a lot was learnt from the seminar. I, on the other hand, learned more from my 2-year-old nephew's utterances of nonsensical broken English.
Mike!
Let me finish. So perhaps the truth is somewhere in the middle. Agreed?
I'll settle for that. Satisfactory then on both counts.
Execution is the bit I want to get to, Alma.
Oh, here we go. Was it really that bad?
Oh, come on. You have to admit it was pretty boring. Half the theatre had emptied by the time she finished.
I can't really argue with you there, Mike. Clearly she failed to engage her audience, which is a big black mark for her execution. For once, Mr. Critical gets his way.
Mr. Critical has been very kind to her in his feedback so far, though, wouldn't you say?
You're a real saint, Mike. Now, what about the...
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
Section 4. Emma Bell is an agricultural scientist. In the following lecture, she describes some of the advantages of the hemp plant. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen and answer questions 31 to 40.
When we think of progress, we tend to look to the future. However, the past can also provide inspiration. Today, I'd like to outline some of the many ways in which the hemp plant, a plant that was used very widely until the early 20th century, can benefit both humans and the environment. You may remember that when the use of computers became more widespread, there was much talk of the paperless office. Yet now far more paper is being used than ever before. Most of that paper is made from wood, but it can also be made from hemp. Hemp is a fast-growing annual plant that can be harvested within 4 months of germination, whereas a tree takes 20 years. This means that a hectare of hemp can produce 80 times as much paper as a hectare of trees. In fact, hemp was the main source for paper production until the 20th century, and the paper it makes is of superior quality to that made from wood. Many of the rivers in the vicinity of today's paper mills suffer the effects of pollution from bleach and other chemicals used in the manufacture of paper from wood. In contrast, paper made from hemp does not require bleach. So much clothing these days is made from cotton, yet fabric has been made from hemp for over 7,000 years. The trouble with cotton crops is that they take a heavy toll on the environment and are often dependent on irrigation. Hemp can grow using far less water and does not need as much fertilizer or pesticides. In fact, hemp crops even have a natural resistance to pests. Clothes made from the tough fibre of hemp also last longer than those made from cotton, which is not something that'll make clothing manufacturers very happy. But another way in which hemp is the superior material is that it's more effective in blocking out UV rays from the sun, which can cause skin cancer. To top it off, clothing made from hemp is very comfortable to wear. In parts of the world that still don't have electricity, this versatile plant can also be used to light lamps. Back in the days of sailing ships, when hemp was used to make ropes and sails, lamps were often fueled by whale oil, which gave off a much stronger-smelling black smoke. The pursuit of that oil was one of the reasons for the existence of the whaling industry, which hunted many species of whale almost to extinction. Closer to our own time, Henry Ford used hemp in the production of his first cars. These days, with panels being made of metal, even a minor accident can lead to costly repairs. Being derived from a plant, hemp panels would be less expensive. Yet perhaps an even more significant consequence would be that instead of old cars being left to rust by the roadside, an abandoned car made from hemp would rot faster. A further advantage in the case of automobiles is the fuel. One of the major causes of global warming is the use of fossil fuels in cars and trucks. Methanol is an alternative to petrol, and it can be extracted from hemp. This fuel is already used by racing cars, and it doesn't produce as much air pollution, thus placing a smaller burden on the air we breathe. Hemp is also a source for a variety of foods. The oil that's obtained from the plant can be used to make cooking oil, butter, cheese, and even ice cream. Flour derived from hemp has a greater protein content than normal wheat flour, and its seeds contain all the amino acids, providing a form of protein that's more easily digested than that in soybeans. Carpets made from hemp are more durable than other carpets and are resistant to mildew, which grows in humid or damp conditions. It can also be used in the home to produce furnishings such as fiberboard, furniture, and even plastics. Paints and varnish made from petrochemicals contain poisons, whereas this is not the case with those produced from hemp. Hemp plants are best grown close together, and because they produce an abundance of leaves, the ground underneath the plants is shaded, which hinders the growth of weeds. So farmers don't have to spend money on potentially dangerous herbicides. It thrives in areas with low rainfall and may be useful in combating salinity because it doesn't need irrigation, and its long taproot can reach underground nutrients and water. As a fast-growing plant, it's an easily renewable, biodegradable and ecologically sustainable source of a vast range of products that are currently made from polluting resources, such as coal, metals, gas and oil. This is quite plainly a case where we can make progress by learning from the past.
That is the end of Section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers.